the 2016 Mini Cooper S Clubman. It is the longest and heaviest model Mini has ever made, but does it still drive like a real Mini? I'm Jay, and welcome to the latest episode of Car Buzz Unboxing Reviews, and this is the 2016 Mini Cooper S Clubman. Now, you need to think of the Mini Cooper Clubman as kind of an alternative to the typical crossover or even a hatchback. It's kind of something in between. And yes, it is a lot of fun to drive. I just want to put that out there. That is a signature trait of every Mini product. But I also want you to think of this as sort of a family wagon. It's just a more practical alternative to the standard Mini Cooper hardtop. And you can also tell this is a Mini from the moment you step inside. It has that circular infotainment screen in the center of the dash there, this circular gauge cluster as well. But compared to the first generation Clubman, as well as the first generation of all Minis, the interior, it's still quirky, but less so. It's gone more mainstream because Mini wants to increase its buyer base, essentially. And the exterior, I mean, you cannot mistake this for anything other than a Mini. Look at those front headlights. They're really nice LED units. And from the front end, it looks like the standard Mini 3-door hatchback. But look at the silhouette side view here. It's got a pair of rear doors. And you'll notice, compared to the first generation Clubman, these are conventional rear doors. The first generation Clubman had these, what they call suicide doors, which I like personally, but it made a quirky car more of a niche car, and the first generation Clubman just did not find enough buyers, but those who bought it absolutely loved it. But what the second generation Clubman here retains from the first is these rear doors. You're going to see them later. They open up and they're what they call barn doors. They're really cool. It makes loading and access to the rear cargo area really, really easy. And it just gives the Clubman just that quirky, special feel. These barn doors are not available on any other car on the market. They're exclusive to the Mini Clubman, and I think that's really, really cool. Now, something else that you should probably know about Mini is that, yes, at one time Mini, it was that famous British company making those little tiny streetcars. They actually were racing cars at one point, but Mini nearly collapsed many years ago, and guess who came in and saved it? The Germans, more specifically BMW. Yes, Mini is owned by BMW. It has been ever since the Mini Cooper hardtop 3-door hatchback was revived back in the late 1990s. But I have to say, BMW has just done an excellent job, and as you can see, they've really expanded the lineup, and of course, they're applying their engineering and engine technology. Under the hood, this is a 2-liter turbo 4-cylinder engine. It's got 189 horsepower and 217 pound-feet of torque, and it's paired to an 8-speed automatic transmission with paddle shifters. Now, you can also get all-wheel drive in the Clubman, but that is optional, so all the power goes straight to the front wheels here. Again, most BMWs, like the 3 Series, the 5 Series, those are rear-wheel drive, but BMW built an all-new front-wheel drive platform that's going to underpin future BMWs, but it's already being used in Minis. But the interior, clearly a Mini. There is not a trace of any BMW here except for the overall build quality and the premium luxury factor. This exterior, the interior, all leather. It's this pure burgundy color, they call it, and it costs an extra $1,500. But the seats are very soft and comfortable. And although this Mini Clubman here, it can sit 5, I do think it's best for 4. 4 adults can sit in this vehicle very comfortably. And because Mini, its parent company is BMW, expect BMW build quality. Any plastics, they're soft touch. There's a lot of nice brushed metal trim. It's an overall fantastic interior design and build quality, and you should expect something like that for what this thing costs, which I'll get to later on. Now, what I don't like here is those rear seat headrests. They're nice, they're comfortable for the rear seat occupants, but they block rear visibility for the driver. I don't know if that's something Mini could have done anything about just through the actual design. Could they have raised the roof? I don't think so. It's just one of those design flaws you're going to have to live with. And as far as this interior design here, I think it's sort of one of those things where you love it or you hate it. I personally really like it. It's different, and I like different. What I also like is that the gauge cluster in front of the driver, it moves when you adjust the steering wheel position. Again, quirkiness. That's what Mini is all about. But let's start the engine up here so that you can give that a listen. Okay, performance. You're going to go from 0 to 60 miles per hour in 6.6 seconds. Fuel economy. It's actually not bad. 24 miles per gallon in the city, 34 on the highway, and a combined 27. It's kind of fuel efficient, but you got to remember, this is a rather heavy vehicle. Like I said in the beginning, this is the heaviest Mini the automaker has ever built. It weighs just over 3,300 pounds. And going back to this dash layout here, I had some friends in this car, and about half of them really liked that big center display, the round unit there. Others just absolutely hated it. But I found it to be very similar to the BMW iDrive infotainment systems, which obviously it makes complete sense. You have your navigation system here. You can control the audio. But the other thing with Mini, and this is just a general criticism for the entire brand, is the packages that you can get. They just add up the price tag so much. Like for an example, this one here includes the technology package that costs an extra $1,750. Even getting the automatic transmission, there is a standard 6-speed manual. The automatic is another $1,750. That's, adding packages is typical of BMW. It just jacks up the price so fast. And yet you can control the infotainment system with that rotary dial right there. Again, very similar to BMW's iDrive. You also have dual zone climate control. And if you look below it, just below those flat buttons that control the air conditioning and the heated seats, you have those sort of toggle switches. And I like toggle switches. You see those on Lamborghinis, for an example, but in this case, Mini has been using them ever since BMW took control. And I also really like the Harman Kardon sound system in this car. It sounds really, really good. Again, part of the premium package, that costs $1,800. But you also get a panoramic moonroof, which I've been known to be a big panoramic moonroof fan. I like seeing them. Even the Kia Soul, which costs quite a bit less than this, and it's one of its competitors, I would say, has a panoramic sunroof. So how does this Mini Cooper Clubman S drive? Well, despite being heavy and long, it still has that mini go-kart-like handling. The steering is quick and accurate, and it's fun. It is really a lot of fun to drive. Now, if you check out my unboxing review of the Kia Soul, I also did the gasoline engine model along with the EV, but I'm referring to the standard gasoline engine model here. It's okay to drive, but it doesn't have the sport factor that the Clubman has here. So what are some of the other Clubman competitors? Because, again, it's not really a crossover. It's more of a wagon type of thing. As I mentioned, the Kia Soul as well as the Nissan Juke. They both cost less, but they're, again, not as nearly fun to drive. There's also the Audi A4 Allroad. If you're willing to spend over $44,000, that is a great, great car. But I think maybe the most direct competitor to the Clubman here is the VW Golf Sport Wagon. That costs between $22,000 and $30,000. That has only been on the sale in the US for just a very short amount of time, and I don't think enough people know about the Golf Sport Wagon. So I encourage you to check that out as well if you like wagons here. But if you do want a crossover that is also a Mini, there is a very clear answer. It's called the Countryman, which it rides on an older Mini platform, I believe from the previous generation model lineup here. But it's still okay. It's just like any crossover. Its ride height has been jacked up a few inches, and they charge more money for it. Yes, it does come with all-wheel drive, but so does this Clubman here. And the Clubman is more spacious. I guess sitting up higher, having that increased ride height is sort of a trendy thing, but I like sport wagons here. They have just as much space as a crossover, if not more, and sometimes, not always, cost less money. Now, another thing here, as you can see, is that there aren't power seats. They're just manual, which I think is fine. The one concern I have with power seats is that they have electric motors, and one day those electric motors are just going to stop working, and that's a really expensive repair. And then you don't have the case here. So, all right, let's go with the manual seats and the manual lumbar control. No problem. But as I said, those seats they're just so comfortable. I was really surprised. They offer a lot of support. And as you can see, for an average height person in the rear seat, it's fine. It's fairly comfortable. 3 is definitely going to be a squeeze. And here are those barn doors. They're just so cool. I really love them. Now, in terms of storage space, the Clubman offers 17.5 cubic feet of cargo space with their rear seats up and 47.9 when they're folded flat. And of course, these seats, they're 60-40 split folding. But this is actually more space than a Nissan Juke, but it is less than a Kia Soul. But again, it may not have the storage space or quite the best in its class, but it does have one thing the others don't, those rear barn doors. They're really good, like I mentioned, for loading and unloading. And the overall interior quality here is just outstanding. But when you have a premium product like this, you're also going to pay a premium price. So the base price for a Mini Clubman is around $24,000. But I do recommend going up to the Clubman S because the base engine, a turbocharged 3-cylinder with 134 horsepower and 162 pound-feet of torque, is just not powerful enough for a car that weighs 3,300 pounds. So the Clubman S, it starts at $28,500, but it's once you add up those options that the price just goes through the roof. Like I mentioned, the technology package, the John Cooper Works interior package, which adds stainless steel pedals, for an example, that costs an extra $400. As I already mentioned, the automatic transmission, $1,750. The heated front seats, $500. Satellite radio, $300. And then once you toss in the destination of $800, this car right here, $38,750. I mean, nearly $40,000 for a wagon. That's a lot of money. But then again, this Clubman S is a really cool car. It's a lot of fun to drive. It has BMW build quality. It's just premium. And you can definitely tell a bunch of BMW German engineers, they're the guys who tune this thing. It does have that go-kart-like handling. And if you need it to have better all-weather capability, go for the all-wheel drive option. So I'm out of time for today. Everyone, thanks for watching. Any more questions for me, leave them in the comment section below. Any of your suggestions for future reviews, also leave those in the comments section. And be sure to subscribe to the Car Buzz Unboxing YouTube channel. So until my next review, everyone, thanks so much for watching.